How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.
We spoke more about Pant in the pre-show for I think about 15-20 minutes or something. Then we got to witness him with the bat. Let's just go there. Forget the score and everything. What were Lucknow thinking? Puji?
I don't know. I genuinely don't know
Your best guess.
what the thought process was. But I mean, there's no doubt he should be batting up the order. If he's batting, I mean, he's trying to do what MS Dhoni does, but he's nowhere near it. I still feel he is someone who should be batting in the middle overs through between 6 and 15. He's not a finisher and he shouldn't be doing the job of a finisher.
He's also not 43, like you rightly say.
Yeah.
Please explain, Nick Knight. Your best, your most articulate way of explaining the situation.
I'm trying, really. I've been sat here for the last 10 minutes thinking what I'm going to say because it's so bizarre. And what I've come up with is, I'm not really a problem with Badoni batting at 4-5. I can see some rationale in that because I think he's playing well and I think he's more likely to score runs than Rishabh Pant. There's a problem. Samad, you probably say the same. Probably more likely to score runs at the moment than Rishabh Pant. David Miller, you could say the same. So when you look at the decision making, perhaps in rationale, it makes some sense. Where I don't like it at all, it just doesn't look very good. There's your captain. There is your captain sliding, going backwards in the batting order when you really need him to step up. And you really need, he's the one that's going to be standing up and talking in front of your team. He's the one that's leading you out there. He's your leader, and it just doesn't look great when the leader is going the other way. So from that perspective, that's more my problem, because I would agree, Badoni's probably more likely to score runs, etc., etc. It just doesn't look great.
If he's your form batter, Badoni that is, name him in the 11. But we'll come to that. Do you have any explanation on what Lucknow might have been thinking there as Pant in a different role, as potentially a finisher?
The only thing I can think is that we spoke about him struggling badly against spin in the pre-show. Maybe they didn't want him to face Kuldeep Yadav, but as Nick says, I don't know what message that would send to the rest of the team. The only other thing, we saw some visuals of his hand and wrist looking pretty heavily strapped. I don't know if that's anything to do with it, but if it is, then he probably shouldn't be playing.
He's a keeper.
Yeah.
They always have something strapped under those 3 layers of gloves. Now, okay, let's try and think of what Lucknow might have thought of and how this decision was reached at. Right? Pant is not looking at his fluent best. We all agree at 4. You don't want to disrupt the opening pair, which we've discussed. Sometimes you can open with him. They opened with him in one game when Marsh was missing out. You don't want to go there because you don't want to disturb the top 3. But perhaps let him just go at the end where he'll have a license to hit every ball. If that happened organically, would it look better than when they lose 3 or 4 wickets and then have to send the impact sub and send Samad up? Does that make this decision look even more bizarre?
It does, because look, even if he's not batting at number 4, he should be batting at number 5, nothing later than that. And eventually, if your top order ends up batting for first 15 overs, then you can understand that he's coming down the order. But he shouldn't be sent at number 6 or 7, whatever number he came in today in the 19th over. I don't think that's the kind of role he should be playing. Even if he's out of form, he's someone the management has to trust him as a batter. Yeah. Even if he's out of form, he can. The only way he's going to come back in form is by being out there, by batting. And even if he fails, just accept it, because you would always accept someone like Rishabh Pant failing than sending him in the 20th over.
The question really is, where does it go from here as well? Yeah. Because the intentions are clear. He's not going to be in your top 5, 6. Otherwise, he would have batted 5 or 6. So what happens next? Because for me, Badoni, I've no problem with Badoni batting 4, by the way. Yeah. And I think that's probably a stronger position for him. But then all of a sudden, Rishabh's going down and down and down. I don't know where it goes next.
I've got one more question on this. You know the man well, you've played with him. Would this decision have been made even without his consent? Because what I've heard of Pant is that he's very strongly opinionated on, cricketing affairs, certainly when he's captain. So this can only have happened if he has bought into the decision?
I think so. He might have been consulted. I don't know whether he was forced to bat lower down the order.
Is he an easy man to force to do things that you want him to?
I don't think he would have agreed. So knowing him, I think he would have agreed that he should bat lower down the order for the team's benefit. But I still feel that's not the right decision.
Nick saying he doesn't mind Badoni batting at 4. I agree with him. But Badoni didn't bat 4. He batted 6. Samad batted 4. Samad is one of the form finishers of the tournament. Is that a double problem now? Not only are you missing out on Pant because he's out of form, but Samad in a role that he's played so well, and I think you can back that up. Last game was massive sort of 30 of 10
Yeah.
or 9 balls.
Yeah, 30 off 10, I think.
You put him out of place completely, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and I feel like it comes back to the impact sub conversation we had before the game as well, which I think it doesn't feel like an optimal way to use it, where you're sort of weighing up whether or not to even play Badoni after he did well in their last game. So I think the whole thing's pretty curious. The only thing with Pant to add is that he did slide down the order a bit in that game at Eden Gardens, but that happened a bit more naturally where it felt they didn't lose many wickets and they just put Miller in right at the end ahead of him.
Oh, you mean talking about the 238?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's different.
Which was a lot more understandable. But today, when it seems like a conscious strategy, the team's struggling, you're batting first, you're using the impact sub ahead of him, yeah, hard to get your head around.
How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.